In audio leaked from his conference call with the governors, we've heard President Trump berate them for not being tough enough. He uses the word dominate and dominant force, and he's told governors if they can't handle it with their state National Guard units, he's going to get the job done with the military. His authority to do so apparently being the 1807 Insurrection Act, signed into law by Thomas Jefferson, last invoked in 1992 during the Rodney King riots. Take us inside the Pentagon at a moment like this. What's the mood, and what sort of contingency planning does all of this tough talk trigger in the conference room there?
Well, I think that what we saw was a lot of open disparity in the leadership. And Esper, the defense secretary, basically was taken to the woodshed, and I think he's going to be okay for now. And the president doesn't want to be changing defense secretaries in the lead up to the elections. That's number one. But number two, with Mattis and Mullen, former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, they're coming from an old school concept of alliances and what have you with our allies. They don't like to see what's going on overseas, and they certainly are uncomfortable with watching having U.S. military forces policing doing law enforcement. That is a last resort. It has been done, as you point out. I recall in 1968, I was in Washington at the time that half of Washington was burned down. And military was called out by Lyndon Johnson. And we had curfews around here for months. And I would see black clouds of smoke wafting over the Capitol building. It was a very treacherous time. I would say it was much more chaotic and intense then than it is now. And back then, we also had the Vietnam War ongoing. So those were very, very bitter times. And it had a residual effect to this day in terms of people accepting and respecting the U.S. military. The military itself will do what the commander-in-chief wants them to do. And I think Trump basically threatened to invoke the Insurrection Act in order to get the governors and the mayors to act, because he felt that the looting and the disturbances and the rioting, apart from the peaceful demonstrations, were taking over the streets once again, and he wanted to avoid that. And also, coming on top of the pandemic, as well as the high levels of unemployment, it was a prescription for disaster in terms of any potential for recovery.